good morning, good afternoon, good welcome. I do not know which character class we will be playing yet, so I assume we are going to be covering.
Waiting for confirmation.
Sure that all the last-minute donations are getting in for.
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
Because apparently this has sudden.
Yeah,
Well
at the very end.
That's pretty impressive. So, I'm introduction to the characters right here for speedrunning, anyways. So, for the assassin, she would be mostly using abilities, and also overall she is the most consistent and fairly fast character in this entire run. She does rely a little bit more on good RNG, so you can get your but not as much as the poor little necromancer. The poor necromancer here is actually pretty much the most reliant on getting that one in order to be able to, well, get through the rest. However, if he gets 12 items, he will be speeding up the pace quite a bit, but still be nowhere near as quick as the assassin and druid. So he's a bit on the, let's put it this way. If you try to run through a game with a supportive type class, well, that's kind of the necromancer. But interesting nonetheless, because it's probably one of the more complex classes, at least for a normal run. And then last but not least, we have the druid. He might be a friend of the animals, but we'll be just using spells. And, well, those spells hit like a truck, relying on getting any specific type for one rune word. The other ones are just basically bonus that make him even more powerful beyond that. So there's that. Maybe.
So, Yagamoth, final class choice here.
Yes.
All right. So, with the come behind victory, we are going to be playing as the druid.
Oh,
dear.
Well then, the
right.
druid.
We did not expect that.
No, I actually didn't. That's pretty awesome. Okay, and we have a character name, I take it?
We do, and we are going to be going.
Go, 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 go. Go, go.
And if you're
go,
curious,
go.
it's 7 of them.
7.
Yeah.
1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that sounds about right. That's about as many as fit in there. But I would say, let's get this going. Are you ready on the timer, I take it? Sweet. Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this going with... I almost split my let's get this going. 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Diablo 2. There's a help thing that we don't need. And first of all, we are going to throw away our shield, because we don't need that. More importantly, if you have never seen this game, this yellow bar, which allows us to run instead of just walking, and it will eventually just kind of run down. It will not be all that useful. There are shrines. This is a refilling shrine. Another refilling shrine, unfortunately, does not refill our stamina, so that doesn't help. Initially, what we want to do is just kind of clobber some random enemies or items so we can set them up. And as you can see, our stamina is just kind of running low. Unfortunately, right now, we don't really have anything to combat that. So that's going to be a bit tricky initially. But that's just kind of starting out. Running a little bit, walking, that's kind of the most efficient thing you can do. Also, on the bottom left, you can see the red globe that something. Chip sapphire, sweet. Alrighty, further, there is this dungeon here, that's the Den of Evil. The Den of Evil does not actually get played in the Druid run because, well, we don't need it. It's a little side quest that you can do. You clear out all the enemies in the Den of Evil and it would give you +1 to your skills and also the ability to select and redistribute your stats. As soon as we eventually will level up, we will hopefully be able to show those stats and abilities. More importantly, we just get a stamina potion, that's nice. Stamina potions are what allow us to essentially run forever later on, but right now we're just kind of limited to that. we got lucky because everything is pretty much procedurally generated in terms of how the map layout looks, so I did not actually know it was. And there are certain tells and also places that we kind of know where to go. This is a way to go back to town. Alrighty, and this lady here is Akara. I'm going to, real quick, sell some stuff in order to get some initial money. I would like to keep those gemstones, but initially we just kind of need the money more. We pick up some stamina potions and also some mana potions to be able to afford anything more, and unfortunately that's just about it. So we're going back and moving on. We need one more enemy kill to level up, and then we finally do a bit more than just clobbering enemies. Right. Okay. Here, that one works. Okay, we are going to go with an elemental druid. So, we have Firestorm. Firestorm is an ability that creates a path of fire on the ground, and pretty much all the spells on the druid are ground-based, which means I am going to throwing fire around on the ground, and the enemy step in them, don't stand in the fire, they never learned that, and they are just going to die. Well, it's not always that easy, and especially for the druid early on, this is kind of tricky since he has pretty low health growth overall. He is one of the lowest health growth characters also. I can use stamina potions to keep running. Derp. Yeah. So, what did I forget? Maybe map layouts. I know this is not the code I'm looking for. But you can kind of imagine the entire maps, all areas are pretty much like a gigantic square that is turned a little bit, kind of like a bit of a diamond. And essentially this map here is just kind of shaping up to be... Oh, I see. I actually missed a pathway down here, which I should have gone initially, but it's kind of easy to miss. So essentially that path leads me to this. This one is the correct area, because the previous one was actually in a corner, and the corner area will get to the place that I will need to be eventually. Also, interestingly enough, experience shrines are good. Shrines are better. Skill shrines give you plus skills and abilities. So, now we finally start using the fire. And we need experience. We need experience, we need a lot of experience over the course of the run. And I'm going to by killing enemies, but you don't just want to run after every single little enemy. Hey, a waypoint, that's neat. You don't want to just run after every single area. You want to kill them efficiently and also really kill stuff that is giving you a ton of experience. More specifically, you are looking for champion and elite groups. Where is the thing? Wow. Okay, that's actually kind of awkward. Field here, there's always one place that is the monoliths, and those monoliths, they have one champion type enemy in there. Usually it is right next there. It is. It is usually right next to the way, but I just kind of messed it initially there. So we put all our points here initially into Firestorm. We can only put more points into it once we reach level 6, or different abilities. Once we reach level 6, 12, 18, every 6 levels until 30 you could to speak. Alrighty, that to defeat him, and it looks like it is faster for me to just relog real quick and then take the waypoint in order for us to get over there. At this point I might as well take the opportunity to sell some things and also initially get some tombs and stuff like that. So this glove was yellow, the color of the name, and essentially yellow is rare and it has various magical attributes, and as in 3 to 5. Blue items have approximately 1 to 2 magical attributes to them, and that is actually going to be quite important throughout the run as to what we are wanting to pick up. Kind of imagine a procedurally generated game like Diablo 2 is kind of difficult to route and run. So how do we do this? So you can kind of see me picking a direction and just kind of moving. So overall, Diablo 2 is not 100% procedurally generated. They are just essentially tile sets and maps and essentially pretty large chunks of areas that always are pretty much the same looking. So if I see an area, usually I will kind of know where to go or where to go through the next area. Unfortunately, this kind of leads me to the left-hand side here. I'm pretty sure that's a bad idea. I'm going to pick the other direction. And the reason, by the way, left-hand side is maybe a bit of a confusing term right here, because I'm not talking about the absolute left-hand side. I am talking about the relative left-hand side. So, what do I mean with that? You can see up here, there's the entrance area. The entrance area essentially is facing towards the bottom right. What that means is that the exit, I know in that specific area, has to be somewhere towards the bottom right. The relative left-hand side, which if you are facing bottom right, is towards the top right. That might be a bit confusing, but essentially what that means is that area is what I don't want to go into, since it has a very high likelihood of leading me to the underground passage level 2, and I really don't care about getting there. That's just a golden chest in there, nothing terribly useful. Alrighty, now we have arrived at a pretty low level over here, and I need to kill some more enemies in order to level up just a little bit more. So, and you see those guys here. Those are shamans. Normally they have a different color, but them being colored differently kind of indicates them being, well, pretty special, so to speak. Also, there's a small shield. It is gray, and that means it can be one of two things. It can either be a shield that has sockets in them, or it could be theory. Sockets means I can put gemstones and runes into it to enhance its abilities. I'm kind of looking for a 2-socket shield. I cannot equip them yet, I do not have enough strength. Okay. Also, all my points currently are going into vitality, because I do want to have a larger health pool on the druid. We found a waypoint in the Black Marsh, that's good, that's exactly what we're looking for. There's a shrine right next to it, which kind of has random things. Oh, wow, this is an amazing layout here. So, what I'm looking for, essentially, was this Countess Tower here.
I can smell why this tower was abandoned.
I can smell why this tower was abandoned. So, we enter this tower here, and actually, this is probably a bit too early in terms of level. I want to maybe go and kill some more Raccoonicious before I go in here, because Diablo works in a way that if you are too low level compared to the enemies, they will not give you as much experience. It's not just kind of more dangerous, which, well, it is definitely more dangerous to encounter enemies that are substantially higher level and stronger than you. And so we just kind of need to be a bit careful. Those goats here have a reasonably large amount of HP. I kind of hope to level up after defeating them. So, let me explain about the concepts of minions and those kind of guys, the elite type. So they have various attributes, like this guy just now had teleportation, which means he can teleport around the area. There are various different attributes, and based on what kind of attribute they have, I need to be more or less careful about them. But more importantly, those elite guys, and also their minions, because they always come with a group of minions, they give substantially more experience than regular enemies. In fact, they give 5 times more experience, and that's kind of why I'm looking for being able to defeat as many champions and elite guys as possible, just kind of along the way. The idea is that I don't spend much time killing stuff, because, well, you don't want to spend time on places that you don't have to. 2 amulets, wow, that's neat. So amulets are accessory type items. They give you various types of, well, bonuses. Only certain of them are kind of useful to the druid. And we have ghosts. Those ghosts are extra fast. They are moving a lot faster than normal ghosts. So that's kind of how I can tell without even looking at the champion. Ghosts also naturally just kind of mana drain you, so you need to be a bit careful about this. Thankfully, ghosts are some of the more easy enemies to defeat as a druid, so that kind of helps us along the way here. I still need a lot of mana potions in order for us to actually be able to kill anything, really. So, okay. You may have also noticed that I more or less found the exit pretty much right away in the Countess Tower. This is because I kind of know where to look for the exit, more specifically based on how the entrance style looks. I'm going to be pointing out that in later on. But why are we even in this tower here? This is a side quest, you don't have to be here. So the reason is kind of straightforward and simple. Also, we have 2 level to potentially kill the Countess. The reason is because the Countess Tower has a high density of those champion and elite type enemies that give you increased experience. That is what we are looking for right now. We are looking for both experience, as in efficient places to level up, and also, more importantly, the Countess herself. She actually has a very high chance of dropping runes, and runes are very substantially useful. More importantly, there's exactly 2 runes that we really would like to have in order to be able to run through this, well, speedrun reasonably quickly. So I kind of don't like going outside here, but we are only, actually no, it's level 6, never mind. So, we now have a new ability, Molten Boulder. Molten Boulder actually does physical damage, but it leaves a trail of fire and explodes into fire, so it's a lot of fire damage. But the Countess is always fire enchanted, which means she actually does have a substantial amount of fire resistance. So I want to hit her with the boulder itself, so she takes the physical damage of it. And there we go, Countess down. And that's good. So, also that chest here usually does not have that many amazing items, and now we are resetting. We just hit level 6, and what does that mean? Well, we need more experience. We need also various other runes that we just didn't get yet. However, we got already 2 of the very useful ones. Also here, I'm selling the identification tomb and rebuying it. That fills it up back to 20 really quickly. Alrighty, we keep that shield, I do want to keep it. Magic damage reduced by 1. Faster cast rate, that's pretty neat. It's not actually as important on a druid as it is on other character classes, but it's pretty useful. So, I'm also going to use that potion for now. I'm now looking at 2 socket helmets, 2 socket armor, and preferably it's not a 2 socket helmet. Wow. That is actually kind of rare that you just get pretty much everything as you go. So, either way. We're putting those into our stash for now. We are going to put some chip gemstones into our stash as well. They will be later used for money making. We put the runes in here already. So, what are we looking for runes, and why are they so useful? Mr. Magus, may you elaborate on that?
Yes, as you heard Yaga mention, he collected or wanted to buy a couple of items that had sockets in them. You can put these runes in there in order to create so-called rune words. Basically, you are creating unique weapons or armor if you put the right words in it. And the most important one is really the armor that we are going to be looking for tall F runes to put into an armor that will create the rune word Stealth, which is an amazing armor. Every class uses that armor, basically. It increases your movement speed substantially, and that is pretty much, we're speedrunning, so that's pretty good. And other things like if you put tier runes in your helmet, you get a lot of fire resistance, a lot of enemies and bosses later on.
Actually, that's RAL runes for fire resistance.
RAL, sorry. They have fire-based abilities, most of them anyways, in Act 4 and 5. So that is a very nice thing to have, not mandatory though. And there's lots of other things that are, or lots of other rune words that you can create with that sort of thing. The one thing that you have to keep in mind about rune words is that the armor he has equipped currently doesn't really have a level requirement, or if it does, it's very, very low. Once you create the rune word, it will actually gain level requirement because the armor is so powerful, especially stealth. Is going to be level requirement of 17. You can put the rune word into the armor while you have it equipped, and then it will show up as red. So you don't until you hit level 17. So we're still going to keep it equipped because we don't really care that much about armor at the start of the run. Armor or defense in general is really, you don't take less damage if you have more armor. It's more, in this game, it's more like the less of a chance the enemy has to, enemies will always pretty much do that they can. It's just if you have more armor, you will be able to dodge a lot more.
Indeed. So the 2 rune words we are kind of looking for our druid here are, as Agus already pointed out, the Tal Eth rune word for stealth, which movement speed is really nice, but for a druid especially, it's also extremely handy to have what is called faster hit recovery. Whenever I get hit for a substantial amount of damage, the druid will just kind of go and he will get kind of knocked around and he will not be able to move for a little while. And that little while can be reduced or enhanced basically by you having faster hit recovery, which on the druid, if you get knocked around, that is super annoying. Also, those little hits, he just kind of a little bit in agony and pain, but it's not substantial. For substantial damage, you will probably see that at some point where I get hit.
One thing about skills, like he has Molten Boulder right now, and Firestorm, he's going to be looking to go into Fissure, which is a very, very powerful skill. What's noteworthy about the skills is that certain skills have synergies with each other. Say for Fissure, if you have Firestorm, it will enhance the Fissure skill naturally. So sometimes it might not even be beneficial to actually level up a skill for more damage, but like level up a synergy skill instead. I'm not quite sure how the Druid layout is for the speedrun anymore, even though this is the class I used to speedrun, but you know, it's been a while. But yeah, sometimes he might put a skill point into another skill, even though it seems it would seem more beneficial, like offhand, that you would put it. You actually want for damage output, but with the synergies, it just turns out that mathematically you'll get more damage with those.
So I think I just moved the screen. Sorry about that. You may have to adjust it on screen.
It's fixed.
If I may kind of interject here, we got a bunch of donations to kind of run through here. We'll go ahead and get through some of them.
Sure.
Barbaros puts in $5. I'm sorry for the people that had to go through here to watch a Necromancer run. Don't worry about that. That got fixed real fast. Guess I should have put my earlier money here. Have a good run, Yagamoth and El Magus. Stay right where you are, Magus wife. We also have a $5 donation from the Goose. Magus Cup, waving the hand. We also have a $5 donation from Phoenix. Left my phone in an Uber. Gotta buy a new one. Seeing Magus here makes me feel better. Magus' choice. We also got some $10 donations from Anonymous, $10 from Brosif, 303, and pray for good technical RNG.
So, alrighty. Moving on here. As I said, one of the big reasons as to why we is to gain levels, and I'm aiming to have about level 11, preferably 12, before I get out of the contest tower here. The thing is, however, I need one specific rune still that I absolutely need to have for the run. And kind of inquired a little bit about the safeties or backups that maybe or anything like that. Well, PoAxel just kind of went, doesn't happen that you need those kind of backups. So yeah, there's that. Also, by the way, those are champion ghosts. Champions, quote-unquote, only give 3 times experience compared to the 5 times experience for elite and minion enemies. Also, all minions give the same amount of experience. So I think this might be... Yes, nice, already. This is actually cornered, which always spawns enemies, champions, or... because this is just kind of the type of corner that, well, does that, really. Also, enemies that are fire enchanted are kind of rough to deal with for a class that is mostly based on fire damage. But thanks to Molten Boulder and being able to push around Boulder, it's not too bad for a druid. Difficult for an assassin in later stages of the game. Although we will have various ideas to deal with those kind of things. Okay, let's see. Counters needs to drop. I would like to have some tier runes, maybe 1, maybe 2, and also more Ral runes. The most important one already. So even if we don't get the runes, the other runes that we would like to have for later, this is still sufficiently enough for us to essentially more or less continue the run. So we are pretty much in the clear. Okay, and
Catch up some more on some of these donations while we're finishing up our sweet little rune grind here, if that's okay with you.
sure, go ahead.
All right. So we got a little bit of a long one here, but it's from Portuguese Captain, and they've been waiting patiently, I'm sure. $50. I have always loved the stories that RPGs have taken me through and look forward to watching them get skipped over by amazing runners who can complete these games in a handful of hours, whereas casually it may take dozens to do so. I'm always amazed by the tricks speedrunners learn to bypass hours of grinding and love all the explanations of the tricks and the routes. I have many friends who are currently battling mental illnesses, and while I try to support them as best I can, causes like Nami always help these people to get the type of help they most desperately need. RPGs and Namis are great. I hope to see done fast for many a year. And I really do hope that too. It's been an awesome event. We have $5 from Anonymous. Great job, guys. I'll be doing my best to spread the word. Good luck to all the runners. $25 from Matt234 and another $25 from Anonymous. Hopefully my girlfriend will say yes to marrying me along with this nice dress for this main character.
Good luck.
That is, of course, referring to the 100% dress color incentive. Currently, dark is in the lead, although both light and normal are still kind of on board there, so keep an eye on those. Get back to the Yagamoth as he starts crushing down these ruins more and more.
Sweet. Alrighty, thank you very much. And also, we do really appreciate all donations. So, actually, the reason why we put points into Firestorm now is because Molten Boulder is strong enough as it is. We don't need it to be any more strong compared to where we are at the levels. However, Firestorm, however, is later going to be a lot more useful to deal with certain bosses or enemies, because that is actually one of the places where abilities, especially our other ability, Fissure, is not nearly as useful. So, alrighty, here we have the counters once again. We would like to have a tier rune, and then we are pretty much set on all the runes that we more or less want. I would like to have more, but it's not necessarily something that we can, well, just kind of get quickly. So, more points into here, we identify stuff because that sells for more money. Maybe at the bottom here that I have not explained yet. If you've never seen the game, that is alright. This down here is the belt, and based on how good of a belt I have more slots down there in order for me to be able to use those. It's actually, you can start buying belts that have level 8. And you need at least 25 strength in order to be able to equip them. So maybe quickly about the stats. In the top and in the left you can see strength. Strength is used for a tiny amount of physical damage increase. Also, by the way, I'm going around there in order to check shrines for experience. Unfortunately, so far we have no experience shrines. So yeah. So strength in damage output a tiny little bit. It's really not much. It's not really worth mentioning, really. But more importantly, strength allows us to equip certain items and things. However, we just kind of want to have the bare minimum of strength in order to be able to equip just exactly what we need. What I usually aim for is 30 strength boots that have faster run and walk speed, which, as you might be imagining, could be really useful, that we potentially can get from those boots that have higher strength requirement. That's the main reason why I go for 30 strength. Usually 25 is fine, just for being able to equip the belt. Dexterity is another stat that we have over there. Dexterity really does not do anything for you on a druid run. Let's just leave it at that. And other than that, we have vitality. So each character differently gains different amounts of experience per point into vitality. Not experience, health, that is. So yeah, for the druid, it's actually a pretty low amount of health per health point. And so you kind of want to put as much into health as possible in order for you to be able to survive, really. And if in doubt, just put the point in order for you to, well, survive better. Other than that, we have energy. Energy increases your total mana pool, and it also increases slightly something else that really doesn't matter for us either way, because, well, we are not going to put any points into energy. All points after strength are going to go into vitality, because just having a higher health pool, it really helps you survive a lot. Okay, you have also maybe noticed that I've been picking up quite a few items that just were along the way, and certain items I'm kind of looking for. Like rings always give a pretty decent amount of excuse me. Rings always gave a pretty decent amount of stats usually, and sometimes they use. So right now that ring I have is more like backup money. They are worth quite a bit of money, and that's pretty much what I'm. Gem shrine, that's interesting. Let's get the gem shrine. I actually do not want to have a gem stone into my inventory. I want to get a gem that is chipped. Chipped is the lowest quality type of gem. If you have a chipped gem into your inventory, it would upgrade it on the gem shrine to flawed quality, and then to regular quality, and then you would be having a perfect gemstone. But they all have requirements and level requirements. The only thing I care about actually on those gemstones is that because of how a later, let's say, recipe works, putting chipped gemstones into cube and then also putting it actually lets me reroll the stats and potentially gain a ton of money for little to no effort. I'm basically taking more or less safety precautions. Also, there are barrels in the way. Why? It's actually kind of rare that barrels literally just block your progress entirely. They can contain items, but it's kind of rare, so it's not even worth kicking them in. I try to just kind of... oopsie, don't do that. I just try to kind of open up chests while running by and then trying to check what else we have there. Stuff like that. So, alrighty, here we go. Also, as you may notice, I keep using stamina potions. Stamina potions, those are the white ones, give you infinite stamina for up, and also fill up your stamina again. The 30 seconds actually stack. If you use multiple stamina potions, you will gain more and more and more stamina. With each stamina potion, it basically gives you plus 30 seconds to infinite stamina. And that also works for potions. More importantly, the types of potion I'm talking about are antidotes, which is, well, I guess less important, and thawing potions. Thawing potions give you plus 50% resistance against cold for 30 seconds, and also plus 10. So, about resistances real quick. The reason why I would like to have additional RAL runes is to be able to put them into a helmet, and that helmet would give me... that helmet would give me essentially just kind of additional fire resistance. And fire resistance is extremely important throughout the run, because a lot of the more powerful enemies use fire type abilities, and your maximum type of resistance you can have is up to 75. Nice, we have a new belt. Now I can fill it up with potions. Belts with potions is you shift right click in order to buy just kind of a belt full of potions. Let me actually demonstrate. Shift right click, and boom, there's the belt. If I unequip the belt, it will actually put all the potions into my inventory, which is very useful as a technique to quickly gain a lot of potions into your inventory without having to buy one by one. So the quickest way to buy individual potions is just spam left click, even though you have to left click twice in order to buy one potion instead of right clicking once. There's actually a delay in between being able to buy more potions. And just spamming left click is faster. But I actually recently figured out that if you spam left click too fast, you do actually soft lock, so need to be careful about that. So, alrighty.
A couple more minutes to go through a couple of these back donations here. So we actually have a $100 donation from Hair Clan saying go Yagamoth. We also have a $5 donation from Seishura saying good morning and happy birthday Yagamoth.
Happy birthday to you too, I guess.
We have saying Yaga, a lot of Rip Runners fam are cheering you on. It's also nice to finally put a face on this amazing voice. All the harums. We have $5 from Anonymous and $12.71 from Original Gamer SBF. PM. Ginger Hype, cheers from the Smash community. And we do thank you all for all of your donations. We also appreciate you guys spreading the word all over social media, letting people know that we are here and we are going to be here for quite some time over the next week. Check in on our schedule, catch your favorite games, and promote the ones that you want people to see out there, or that maybe you're interested in even as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for all your donations. That is really highly appreciated.
Impossible.
Finishing up here, the basic thing he wants to do right now, he's still going for the runes, but the most important thing at this point is levels. You might think, yeah, okay, the higher level I am, the more powerful skills I have. That is true. But the main reason for getting certain levels in certain areas in this game is that you do want to have like the efficient that if you have certain levels. Like going into Act 2, you will not gain a lot of experience from the enemies there because they are too high level. You only gain like 5% experience, and at that point, you can't really level up anymore just by running through. You do have to like go back and grind back up to a level, I believe it's 12-ish, 11 or 12 that you need for Act 2, and that's what we're going for right here, basically. In order to finish up Act 1 here and then keep on going there. And then in Act 2 we want to eventually hit level 16/17 at the end there. 17 for Druid because then we can equip the stealth armor. And we do need to end up with level 21 at the very end of the game because otherwise we can't finish it.
Indeed. So there's a quest at the very end of the game which, oh, whoa, wait, to be at least at level 20. So that is going to be the ultimate goal. Later on, once we basically hit 19.5, we won't care much about experience anymore. But until then, we basically just have to really make sure that we do gain sufficient amount. Okay, we are almost level 12. I do have one fire resistance rune in the form of 3 Tal runes. So actually later on, I will be able to combine certain runes. As in 3 Tal runes will make 1 Ral rune. Tal runes give you poison damage and poison resistance depending on whether you put it into a weapon or an armor item. And Tal runes wear Ral rune, and I'm going to be taking advantage of that. So those mages here might actually just level me up. No. Oh, we are powerful. So the druid is insanely strong.
Evil flows
Kind of.
from here.
Kind of. Yeah. One rune I would like to get right now, but, well, we're just kind of moving on because the druid is so strong, he does not really need it, it just speeds up the, well, process of killing stuff, which, but as I said, he does not really need it. So, what I'm talking about is a leaf staff. A leaf staff is a rune word that you put into a staff, also Fisher just kind of able to see more about that in a second. The leaf staff is a rune word. Tier plus Ral rune word gives you +3 to your fire skills. If you ever played Diablo 2, you might just kind of think, oh, that is for the sorcerers because he has a 3 with fire spells. But in reality, it's actually plus all the abilities that deal fire type damage. That includes Fissure and also Firestorm. And getting +3 of any ability is just kind of ridiculously good. Like, really, really good. Yeah. Also, you may have noticed, I only have +2 to my Fisher, and I just completely destroyed that Smith. I made it the wrong way, actually. So, we just kind of run across that hammer thing. Basically, the and Charcy in town, who is the blacksmith, she is looking for that hammer. She will grant you the opportunity to imbue an item with a rare enchant. Be completely random enchant. We don't exactly know what we're going to get, but just kind of finding it along the way is really nice. So we have not found anything for the druid, but there are class-specific items that on specific classes. For a druid, he can get a wolf helmet, and like that. And what those helmets do, you can potentially have +2 abilities and skills. The one we are +2 Fissure skills. Fissure is our main damaging ability now. I just kind of cast it on the ground here and just open up all across the ground, and let's put it this way, enemies just kind of really quickly there. So, also, basically just casting that fissure on the ground opens up those cracks in the ground. Whenever enemies kind of walk across it, they get damaged. If they walk across multiple cracks, they get damaged multiple times. So the more the enemies actually walk around, it's actually pretty insane how much damage fissure will just kind of deal once you have more skills in it. And more importantly, enemies just cracking somewhat across. The unfortunate portion is that it is kind of random where the cracks open up, so I can't just cast it into the same spot multiple times and kind of hope that it will be working out and just stay or hit the enemies. But if it's a kind of a narrow pathway, there's a chance that I cast Fissure and nothing happens because all the fissure is really less than ideal. Did I misread the entrance? I actually did. No, it's okay. Wouldn't have been any faster. So, what I mean with did I misread the entrance is there are many areas in this game which just kind of, you know, from based off where the entrance is, you know where to go to. By the way, this is Bone Ash. Fun fact, he is actually level 17, which is pretty high level for this kind of area. And he does not like to move around, which is why he does not take as much damage from Fissure. I just kind of like to kill him anyways, because sometimes he drops good stuff. So we just picked up a unique Umbral Disc. I have actually no clue what that is. Let's put it this way. I more recent Diablo 2 run did a fair bit when I was a kid, but that was a while. A lot of items I'm just not kind of familiar with. Familiar like with those kind of unique items. Unique items literally mean they are, you see a letter, and I should be able to do that. Actually is. I am to identify all of the items, so I kind of need to take a look if they are useful or not, stuff like that. That shield is probably one of the rarer drops. There are also drops that a few times. Either way, that is the golden items. There are also set items that have various other, well, but more importantly, set items are also, like unique items, just easy to identify and easy to know what they are doing. Especially if you get certain set items like, I think one of the best set items I could get right now would be Zarus boots. Those boots give you +20 fire resistance and +20 to faster run and walk speed. And, well, being able to run 20% faster is just, well, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? But yeah, that is highly random and very unlikely to get in any individual run. If you do a lot of runs, eventually you'll just kind of get them in some run. But this is also why Diablo 2, for a long time, be considered to be speedrunnable. Like, the mindset of how speedrunning works needed to evolve quite a bit in order for people to even consider Diablo 2. Also, shoutouts to the currently pretty much best that I learned a lot from, that are Mr. Llama SC, Rayquaza 4, and also Slimolek, which I believe has now a name with Slimo, and also quite a few others. Basically, the Diablo 2 speedrunning community has been, well, growing, and also have quite a few new faces that I'm not quite familiar with yet. But yeah, those are really awesome guys, I like them. And they are likely a fair bit better than me. Hey, there's a Hawk helmet. Hawk helmets, as mentioned, those are druid only type of helmets, and potentially we get +2 something. Well, +3 to Molten Boulder, that is certainly something. I'm not sure that's something useful, but, well, I mean, we do use Molten Boulder sometimes, but right now it's just kind of Fisher as precedence. So, +3 is much plus you can get to any individual ability. It can be to Molten Boulder, +3 to Fisher, and +3 to... We have plus quite a few skills on any given health. Alrighty, Catacombs 3.
Impossible.
But Molten Boulder, it is situationally useful, and getting +3 on it is actually insane increase in damage. I have no idea how much exactly it is, but it should probably deal, well, way more damage than you could usually get. Either way, we are nearing the end of the act. Act 1 is just kind of, and you may see me running in certain directions, hoping to find the exit, which is exactly what I'm doing in Catacombs 3 here. Because the exit can just be, well, in any corner, really. It was not in that corner, so I just need to run back. However, there are also certain other techniques where, in the previous Catacombs level 2, I actually went clockwise around the area. That gives me a higher chance of finding the exit before finding the waypoint. As you might be able to imagine, the waypoints are useful to return to a certain place after you restart the game or you reset it for some reason. However, we don't care about getting back here, so we don't want the waypoint. And overall, it's just, as I said, more efficient to go the clockwise direction. Still doesn't mean you're not going to find the waypoint. Getting to the exit first before the waypoint, but it's a substantial. The reason for that is kind of, well, maybe a bit convoluted, I guess. Essentially, we kind of have an idea as to where to go from the waypoint in order to reach the exit. And with that idea, we go from the relative to the relative right-hand side away from the waypoint, which also means, in the end, that just kind of results in going clockwise around the entire area has a higher likelihood of you finding the exit. And overall, there are a ton of little tricks in Diablo 2 that you may not recognize and also are kind of tricky to explain. Also, unfortunately, I'm just running out of stamina. I should have picked up the stamina potion earlier. Return to town real quick.
Do you have a moment during this town visit?
Yes. Just go ahead. It's alright.
We got $10 from the Lonely Bossin. Finally, a D2 run. Can we make /players8? Donations go to Yaga's Choice. We also have, I believe it's Toli Amular with a $25. Had to stay up to donate to my favorite streamer's run. Can't watch the whole thing, but good luck, Yagamoth, and thanks for all the chill streams and have great commentary. This donation goes towards Glitch Exhibition. P.S. Delicious strawberries. Yaga Hrom. From Anonymous, love the stream and hearing the game breakdowns. Hactical comes. Frogs are food. Bick with the $5 donation. He says hello. And we have Zealous. I want to say it's Zealous dollars.
Thank you. For reference, it's not my birthday, but happy to be birthday to you too. So, alrighty, what I just did there is actually imbue would have faster run and walk speed onto them after I basically get a rare enchant. But the chance for that happening apparently is only about 11 worth going out of your way to do that little side quest most of the time. You just kind of hope to find boots along the way anyways. Actually almost here. There we go. I pretty much explored this level 3 to 100%. But, well, that loses you a fair bit of time. It does not lose you nearly as much time as you might think initially, since, well, yes, you spend a lot of time just kind of going the wrong way, but you also kill an experience, which is necessary. So, while I may have going the wrong way, I still did get a fair bit of experience for it. So, resetting here would be quicker if I'm actually good at menuing, but
Where
that's
can I
alright.
take?
I was about to split,
Greetings. Help.
but that doesn't work here. Alrighty. So, you may have seen her real briefly. She is a pretty big lady, and, well, was, for that matter. Now that I've reset, she would technically be again, but you get the idea. Afterwards, basically, Andariel is now having actually a weakness to fire type of damage. So being able to completely take Andariel out like that so fast is extremely handy. So now we also arrived in Act 2, which means we are now allowed to be able to purchase... wait, why did I sell that? That doesn't make sense. Give that back. We are now allowed to purchase better potions, which regenerate health and, more importantly, mana faster as well. We're still kind of hoping to find a random tier rune along the way. Also, this is a charm, gives me +9 to life, which is pretty useful. So, alrighty, I would like to have a 2-socket shield. No 2-socket shield right now. So, what I'm basically looking for is to increase my lightning resistance, because in Act 2, we are going to encounter some beetles. Those beetles, whenever you hit them, they are kind of like lightning enchanted enemies that just kind of a lot of lightning, really. And that means they just kind of spread like, I think 5 or 6 charge bolt in lightning damage in this game. Is pretty much the most extreme type of damage that you can find. Please give me a 2-socket shield, lady. That would be lovely. I reset the inventory of the merchant by going in and out of town, just kind of in areas. And I'm really just looking for a 2-socket shield. If I don't find it on the next try, I'm just going to move on. Because while with that additional lightning resistance would be extremely handy, it is not absolutely necessary. Okay, we didn't get it. That's okay. I'm just going to put this into the stash for now and move on. So you will see kind of why lightning resistance is so you want. Hopefully anyways, because, well, this is the desert. So a lot of tells as to where do you go to the next area, and there were roads leading to different caves and dungeons and roads to the next area. This is not the case in Act 2 and from here on out. So essentially in Act 2, imagine the entire areas as gigantic squares that are, well, a bit turned to left or right. More experience. So, basically in each of the corners of the map there are 2 chances for an exit, at least from my perspective. I don't know where the exit is, but I'm just kind of walking along the edges and eventually, hopefully, reach the corner of a map, and it was not in that corner. So 4 more possible exits. It can be in the straight to the right corner, top right, or the bottom right, or it could be the bottom left corner towards the bottom left, or which one it is going to be. We don't know. Actually, sometimes you can kind of tell where another area being too close, but more often than not useful. But you might notice I'm just kind of checking this area here. Okay, this is not the wall, which means basically right over here could be the exit to the next area. Lucky, but well, I was not as lucky. However, it is still worthwhile checking because it's kind of awkward. If you run along or around the entire area only to just realize, oh, the exit was right next to the entrance all along. Well, that would be kind of awkward. I heard that. I probably don't need to pick up much more items for money. We should be pretty fine in that department. Also, all points I invest now into Fisher. As Magus earlier mentioned, is we actually get abilities, and in the end is pretty much the since it's the only reliable ability to use on a boss that does not move around a whole lot. And in order to optimize or maximize that damage, we need to put a certain amount of points into synergies and a certain amount of points straight up into Firestorm. So that's the route that we are using, just kind of naturally putting 2 points into Boulder and then the remaining left over into Fissure as much as you can until a certain point, and then you just kind of switch over from Fissure to Firestorm directly again. Okay, I just set down a town portal. Those blue portals, but more importantly, they are also still there if I find a waypoint, like this one here, and then I go from town over to the town portal, and I pretty much exactly where I want to go initially anyways. I check those random items, hoping for some more resistances, stuff like faster on walk speed. I don't want to spend too much time looking for those things, so it's look for those anyways once in a while. Okay, now we are in the Halls of the Dead. You're required to find a set of 3 items, a cube, to merge other items that actually has uses beyond just this Act 2, which is going to be, well, as I said, other instances as well. The other 2 items are an amulet and a star stuff in order to open up the final boss there, essentially. Okay, don't need that anymore. Also, you may notice I'm just kind of walking in a specific direction as soon as I enter those areas. I'm now in the Halls of Dead level 2, and I know, because based on how the entrance is facing, the exit has to be towards the bottom right. So technically speaking, the game can actually throw me, like over here. I see it at the back end, the area we're looking for, just being behind there by going to the right, That's possible. It's still kind of more reasonable to quickly check as to whether the exit is down here or not. Does not look like it right further over here. But technically speaking, this entrance, I know towards the bottom right, I need to look for the exit. So it's not here. Well, we need to exploring it. Oopsie. Give me that, please. Essentially seeing that there's an area behind the entrance gives me a little bit. There might be a case of, well, you enter the exit area towards the bottom right, but you could also just kind of go there. Possibility as well. It does not occur all that often, but you need to be kind of prepared for that kind of instance. In this case, there's a very reasonably good likelihood for that to be happening. And indeed it is. Alrighty, this is the chest. This is the final Halls of the Dead dungeon. There's always the same type of enemies guarding that kind of thing. And I try to hopefully not. Okay, we get a U-Wand. U-Wands or Wands in general can have plus Necromancer abilities on them, which are pretty expensive to purchase, but also buy for how little space they use up in your inventory.
Greetings.
Okay, let's see. We do have the cube now, and that allows us to do other things. Plus the mana doesn't help us. Lightning resist plus 19%. That is actually really good. I buy them back in order to fill them up again. I should have sold both at the same time. Nothing useful here. Actually, I do no longer need to look for gloves. The gloves I have are now really good. As in, I don't really care about the other stats on those gloves, but just getting plus that much lightning resistance is crazy good, really. Okay. I put it out, and the rest is going to be stamina potions to run around. Next up, as a little bit of a preview, I'm going to be looking for the wave. It's too far away, or I'm also looking for the maggot lair in order to enter that. And I also have a few comments about the maggot lair then. But I feel like we probably have. If you would, please read them.
Sure, I'd actually like to take a moment here to pick. I would like to mention that we do have a $25 Nintendo Switch grand prize for people who do donate. That is throughout the extent of the marathon, so don't feel like you definitely want to get in your donation for that. Just to let you guys know, with some upcoming runs, we have Child of Light, which is going to be a 100%, which will mean that Takase will complete all 11 Lumerian quests and collect all 16 confessions. However, there is a bid war because of the 100% incentive regarding Aurora's dress color, so feel free to check that out. After that, we'll be having Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, any percent Sora. There's a few bid wars with that or a few incentives rather to meet with that, such as fighting Riku's final boss with lower HP, mode battle, and walking with Pooh during the 100 Acre Wood. That one has already been met, so we'll be definitely checking out that one. After that, we'll be just to let you guys know, we are partnered once again with the Yeti to bring you 9 amazing new t-shirts. They look pretty nice, I must say, when I went over there to go check. Head over to theyeti.com/RPG Limit Break to take a look at all. From all of these purchases will be donated directly to Nami. To be able to get to the Yeti, make sure that it's the YETEE.com. That is YETEE.com. theyeti.com/RPG Limit Break.
And I can definitely confirm the shirts do look really nice over there. So, right now, looking for the maggot lair and the waypoint. I did not want to climb up that wall, since there's exactly one staircase up and down. We find the waypoint. That's we're looking for the maggot lair in the far oasis area, and I'm also looking for the exit towards the lost. I don't know where this is, but at this point there's only one option where the exit to the lost city can be. Oh, by the way, this is a beetle that always appears in the far oasis somewhere, and he's actually kind of close to the waypoint, so I might actually consider resetting real quick and going back to defeat Beetleburst within quick succession too. There's the maggot lair. We're just well, ladies and gentlemen, the entrance is facing towards the top right, towards the top left. Excuse me. It's going to be the somewhere, without running into too many enemies in those narrow pathways. Like earlier mentioned, he is really crazy powerful if, well, we get some ground to put our ability on top of it. But if we don't have much ground, because the hallways are kind of narrow, we will have to resort to other, well, methods of killing enemies. More importantly, there are actually going to be quite a few places like this one here. So those usually don't take much damage from Molten Boulder because, well, they are considered large enemies and they take they don't take reduced damage. They just kind of explode the boulder onto their bodies. Other enemies like those guys here, they just kind of get pushed back and get hit multiple times by Molten Boulder. So essentially, Molten Boulder is much more efficient against enemies it can push back. However, because we have the +3 to Molten Boulder in our helmet, Molten Boulder actually does apparently way more damage than I usually see around here. So we don't even have to resort to the silly little Firestorm spell. Hey, that's nice. Essentially, the maggot lair and later sanctuary are the two biggest enemies of the druid. So you can see, work on those enemies to kill them one by one in order to do the maggot lair here. Okie dokie. Mr. Magus, what did I forget so far?
Not that much. I mean, yeah, Molten Boulder is the only ability that really feasibly can be cast here. I mean, Firestorm and Fissure still hit enemies in these narrow hallways. Sometimes, but...
Actually, Firestorm is what you usually stand right next to them in order for it to, well, light under their feet, really. So, plus, too much inventory space used up. I'm not going to use that.
I guess we can also kind of go over how the story works for a speedrun. we basically ignore the story completely. We just rushed through, like in Act 1, we did the side quest to level, and then we basically killed the boss. We didn't even care about anything else.
No, no way. We would never in a speedrun, especially an RPG speedrun. I mean, your story right now. This is the deep lore of Diablo 2.
Yeah, we're running around and cracking up the earth.
Yep.
That's it. No, but every act has quests that you are kind of intended. Like usually you go, you start in a town, and then you get the first quest, and you have to do that, and then you move on from there. But yeah, you can also. It's actually a really nice touch because not a lot of games do that. It's also kind of intended for you difficulty levels. We are playing on normal right now. And yeah, you have to basically replay the game at a higher difficulty. And the developers kind of made it so that you don't have to do all the quests again and again and again. You can just choose your own way of how you want to play the game, how many quests do you want to do, and all that. Of course, you have to kill bosses at the end of the acts, but yeah, for Act 2 specifically, we just have to collect the items that Yaga mentioned, and then we can basically go more or less go kill the boss. So, and that's going to be happening in Act 3 and as well as in Act 4 and 5.
Indeed. The story is actually quite interesting overall if you read a little bit about it. Also, whenever I set down the town portal there, it's potentially I can find the waypoint over here, but I do not find the exit, so that means I would be a little bit quicker to get back to that place where I was initially at. This is not the exit, and we do not find the waypoint here either, so we just need to walk. What else do we have? Oh, I currently have a wand equipped. Well, that's not so useful.
Well, you want to kind of end up with one, but yeah.
So maybe some Diablo. The burden of knowledge is kind of insane. Like, as you can see, I did not know that shield, but I could have played the game a lot more and to getting that shield myself. And well, right now it turns out it has plus 20 to life, which plus 20 to life is really handy for our little druid. Also, by the way, I knew this at that end because it has bookshelves in it. It is a specific type of room that just kind of does not have any. Well, not have any other exits other than well the one. So, okay, we are now in the Claw Viper Temple. Vipers are the type of enemies that kind of charge at you and deal a reasonably substantial amount of physical damage. However, two things. One, they have really low health, so they just kind of die to a single fissure. They don't have particularly much fire resist either. Because Fissure is just ridiculously powerful, or way too powerful in the first place. The exit you always find reasonably quick, almost always, reasonably quickly in the Claw Viper Temple. It's just the second level you need to get into, and that's pretty much it. We have now arrived at the altar that we need to open up, grab the amulet, open up a town portal, merge the staff, and actually I did not have it. I don't have it. I forgot about that. That's okay. Well, we move on, and that could be useful for later anyways. So I'm going to keep that amulet jewel for now. Jewels are type of items that allow you to put them into any slot and they always give the same type of bonus. If you put a gemstone or a rune into a weapon, they usually give offensive types of bonuses. Like more fire damage, more lightning damage, you get the idea. However, if you put a jewel into a weapon, it will still have the same bonus as it reads on there, and that would be, in this case, lightning resistance. So if I get a weapon with sockets on it, might as well put that in there for a little bit more lightning resistance. Okay. Now, we are just kind of moving through the area. We are done with the desert. We have found both pieces of the talk with Drognen, who allowed us to then subsequently move into the harem below the palace and then the palace cellar. In here, what we are looking for is basically just the next exit. The layouts of the palace cellar and the harem are usually pretty straightforward, as in they don't have much variation. The other exit we are looking for is just down here in the corner, And it's going to be the same just in the bottom right, where the exit is going to be. Then on the next floor there is going to be a portal in the middle, and naturally we just kind of maybe cast a single fissure and then just keep running. Also, audio cues are pretty important. I just heard a jewel drop, but I don't really care too much about jewels at this point. They are a little bit of money and not worth me going far out of my way. So this is Fire Eyes, or Fire Eye. Fire Eye is always guarding the portal here, somewhere around. Sometimes you don't even see him because he might be just on the other end of the wall.
This was not designed by nature's architect.
This is not designed by nature's architect. Nope, and it's also really terrible for a druid. So, either way, this is the Arcane Sanctuary. As mentioned before, this is one of the pretty much worst areas for a poor little druid.
It's probably the worst.
Yeah, likely. So, as you may be able to tell, there are enemies there. The pathways are kind of narrow, so getting Fissure to actually hit them is a bit of a task. It's actually right now not too bad on those pathways, but there are pathways or places that are stairs in these areas. I'm actually trying to avoid this in order to hope that I find the correct exit. Because more importantly, the correct exit we are looking for, where it is. It could be top left, it could be top right, it could be bottom left, it could be bottom right. And we are just picking one direction and hope it's going to be here. More specifically, those areas always have the same kind of type of layout. Like here, you can 100% tell how the teleport area works, which is kind of, well, run through here. And the teleport area is one of the more reasonable areas to traverse through as a druid. And then we also have, well, the stairs area. You really don't want to go through there. The other one is pillars, and, well, pillars are facing the correct direction, because depending on the direction you're facing in, it has different layouts essentially. I went the wrong way here. So I think we just may have gotten the first way here. Potentially. Could you let me through, sir? So this is kind of that staircase. Nice, thankfully, no, never mind. Thankfully we do have Boulder +3 on our helmet, which actually helps tremendously, just completely crushing those poor enemies. Sorry about that, but, well, I guess they don't survive much. Hey, we got the shoes, and I still didn't put any points into strength. Nice. That's less than ideal, but that's okay. You actually often don't even end up with having any shoes at all, interesting enough, in this game. Like, at the end of the run, in any percent run, it's not too uncommon that you just, well, don't have any shoes on, or any gloves for that matter, because you just didn't find any that were worth your while. Right now, I did find shoes that are actually really, really useful, with 10% faster running and walk speed. Well, obviously the walk speed is not too terribly interesting, but the run speed is going to help us quite tremendously traverse the areas quicker. Okay, now we are going to bottom right side, always opposed to the teleport area. There is what I call the flat area. The flat area is literally just kind of flat ground that you can run through here, which is interesting and kind of nice for a druid. It's still reasonably simple to clear and run through. After that, we will have to decide to either go straight up to the stairs area, or we will have to go into a different area where the paths are very, very long, winded and snaking around the area. If you don't have a jumping or teleporting ability, like, well, the druid doesn't, it can actually take quite a bit of time. But we get lucky. Nice. Okay. We got second way. We managed to arrive in this area here, second way, without too much trouble. And we are just moving on over here. So this is the summoner. You actually don't even have to kill him if you don't want to. I just kind of cast a few fissures trying to maybe kill him along the way, but you don't really spend much time with him. So, alrighty. Now we are going to the circle. I believe that is the far left. Actually, I'm not sure about that. So, all the symbols you can see, there are now 7 question mark entrances to the Tal Rasha's grave. Which one is the correct one? Well, you learned that from the Necromancer's book, and we know it's a circle thanks to our little quest log here, which is pretty nice. More importantly, those symbols are always arranged in the same spots. and I happen to be picking the correct one. I'm actually kind of notorious for forgetting which spot is where, unfortunately. But hey, for once I remembered, so that's nice. We didn't lose time based on that. But once again, even if you go the wrong way in this game, as long as you at least get some good experience along the way, it's not too bad. Like, I might be running in circles for about 20 minutes, but maybe only 5 minutes of those are wasted. Alrighty, we are now in Talrash's tomb. I know I need to go generally in the bottom left direction. And just kind of hope that we will eventually arrive at the exit. This is not it yet. We need to still go further to the bottom left somewhere and just kind of hope for a turn towards the bottom left. So as I can see, I just kind of cast a single fissure and everything dies pretty much. As in, I'm not scared to just run past those guys and cast a fissure. I don't even care about killing most of those guys because they don't give that much experience. Like, you kill them a little bit for safety, but not for experience. However, because the druid just kind of has so much damage and a single spell cast gives you a fair bit of experience, might as well do it, especially because, whoopsie, we are almost at the next boss. The next boss will be Duriel, and I will be, well, mentioning a little bit more about him as we kill him. But until then, I dare to say, let's just run around this tomb a little bit and have maybe the donation reader have some more things to say.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I have a $25 donation from Anonymous. We don't have any message on that particular one. But speaking about people that are maybe a little bit faceless, but do absolutely great things, RPG Limit Break is very grateful to LLK, a longtime contributor to GDQ Marathons and one of the designers of our promo banners, our attendee badges, and emotes. You can check out her work at jazzaboo.com. That is Jazzaboo, JAZAABOO.com. Also, just to bring you guys up to speed in case maybe you guys don't know what we're here for. We are RPG Limit Break. We're here to help raise funds for NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They do a ton of really great work, not just working with people that are struggling with mental illness, but also helping out with advocacy as far as, you know, dealing with lawmakers, also assisting families and other loved ones who, you know, have those that are suffering from mental illness as well. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to our French and German restreams and our Japanese restream. They well for your donations. Really quickly, just to give you guys a quick update, we still have that bid war going on for Child of the Light to pick the dress color. Currently, Dark is still in the lead, so if you like particular dress color for that game, be sure to get in your donations for that. We also still have some long-standing incentives for Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and a few naming incentives for I Am Setsuna. We also have a final fight the final form of Samsara as I Am Setsuna as well, which needs some love as well. So be sure to go ahead and give some donations to fighting Ansem inside of Chain of Memories with lower HP, and a post-run versus mode battle with Aussie889, which also definitely needs some love. So be sure to check those things out. Tons of great incentives, all going to a great cause. Lots of great runners, lots of great entertainment. So be sure to just go ahead and check in with us. Maybe catch some games that you might be interested in, or maybe like, hey, I've never heard of this game. Maybe it's pretty cool. You know, that's a great way to find new and exciting.
Okay, thank you very much. So I actually just kind of derped a little bit and forgot to equip why I got to the town for. Now, to reach level 17, and we get to equip our stealth armor. Once again, it gives you us plus 25% faster cast rate, which only, well, helps the druid a little bit because most of his casting delay is essentially just not being able to cast the spell again because of the cooldown. But more importantly, faster run and walk speed for 25% as well. So we are just running around a lot faster now than we were before, as you might be able to tell. It is actually substantially much faster now. On top of that, I didn't forget to put in the points into strength in order to be able to equip the faster run walk speed shoes as well, so we are actually on pretty decent pace. The only thing missing right now is a T rune, so we can put So we can put, well, firepower thanks to a leaf staff. Oops, I forgot to put that out. That's also why I usually have 30 strength, but I forgot about that earlier. It's alright. So, okay. Also in town earlier, I drank a lot of thawing potions, which gives me plus 50% cold resistance. The next boss, even though he's in the desert, is Duriel, and he cold damage, if he hits you, that is. So the idea is, Duriel has a gigantic body, and he basically just keeps running across all those little fissure patches that I put on the ground, and I just trying to not get hit, and lead him across those fissure patches, which just deals so much damage to him. He just, well, basically melts, really. As in, a lot of other characters have so much more trouble with Duriel, but the druid is just kind of, well, a few fire fissures on the ground, and boom, there he is. That's actually pretty insane how quick he dies.
Want to have the stealth armor for this one. It'll freeze you even though you have high cold resistance. Not fast enough, he can hit you continuously very quickly. If you don't have the stealth, you cannot get away from that, and you die pretty fast if he hits you.
Yes. Actually, Duriel is probably one of the more notorious bosses for killing, let's say, casual players, because, well, if you're not prepared for a gigantic hulking maggot running at you, kind of dishing out such insane damage, well, you might not be so well off. So I docked to Cherin, go into his lair, and then, well, town portal out, because we're quicker over here. I've tried to split again.
Help me.
It doesn't work. Alrighty, okay. I actually drink all the potions here, because now we're in Act 3, and we actually get access to even better health and mana potions right now. So that's all we need, and we are just kind of running off, making and moving on. Kind of still would like to have a tier rune, but hey. It really does not matter until we hit level 19 in order for us to... Well, we will lose a bit of time against enemies and bosses in the further acts, but it's not going to be that substantial. The druid just cannot down really well. Alrighty, those flying weird things are called suckers. They're literally, that's the name. And they, well, they suck out your stamina. Diablo 2 is not without bugs, and more importantly, it has certain bugs that just kind of, well, are pretty extreme. Drain, or stamina drain for that matter. Enemies tend to just, well, drain all your mana in one hit. Like the value for how much mana is to be drained for each point of damage is way too high. It's pretty much bugged, as in it's literally bugged from what we understand. And what that kind of results in, well, you get hit by a mana draining enemy, whoop, there goes your mana. Or stamina draining, well, there goes your stamina, even though they don't do much damage other than that. So that just kind of can happen, essentially. Okay, now we are in Act 3, through the jungle. The jungle is actually one of the most tricky areas to traverse through, especially if you necessarily have a good idea where to go. So we need to find 4 items in the jungle, or Act 3 in general. One is Kalim's Eye. I'm also going to pick up the figurine for a little bit of safety.
Perhaps it's worth something.
So, the Jade figurine is a little side quest, the maximum health, and the Kalim's Eye is essentially just allows us to imbue a flail with Kalim's will, and that's the final dungeon of Act 3. So Kalim's will essentially consists of his eye, his brain, and what was the last thing? His ear or something like that? I don't remember. I know his brain actually.
No.
His eye, his brain, and wait, I said that twice now, didn't I?
This is sounding very Castlevania. Gather all of his pieces together.
Something like that. It's the difference is in Castlevania you are collecting the pieces in order to revive the big bad enemy or something like that. However, in Diablo 2, Kalim was apparently, at least story-wise, one of the few ones that managed to resist the corruption, from what I understand, and that's why the other council members decided to, well, just kind of destroy him, I guess. Either way, they hit the pieces and parts of him in various areas, use them to imbue them to a flail, that will allow us to go on. So, the jungle is actually odd, to say the least, in order to traverse. The Spider Force more specifically can, but does not necessarily have to, 2 exits. One always goes to the Great Marsh. We don't care about the Great Marsh, there's nothing of value. There's really no reason to ever go to after. The second entrance is directly the Flayed Jungle, which is actually, wow, holy smokes, what I found. Nice. So this is the Flayed Jungle over here. There are flayers, or enemies that are called flayers. We did pretty good luck, actually. I am quite happy with this. And, well, those little guys, they kill him, but unfortunately we have a few fissures in the way that just destroy those poor little guys. So, this is the Flayed Jungle. The Flayed Jungle, we just cast 1 fissure and tons of enemies die. This is pretty much the most efficient way to level for normal until you hit a certain threshold of levels, which is 25. Well, not quite that much, but not quite up to 25, but it's extremely efficient to level up. And we just kind of keep killing those little guys while they're running at us. We are already level 18. So there's one thing we are looking for in the Flayed Jungle specifically, and that is not just experience, but also... That's a lot of enemies. So the Flayed Dungeon actually will allow us to get the next part, so to speak. And where exactly in the Flayed Jungle it is, we don't exactly know. However, there's always those kind of pillars type areas and side areas. Can I access the last chip emerald I need, or the chip gem for that matter? And those side areas, they can have a waypoint in them. We don't really care too much about a waypoint, although it can be a nice safety. There's this area here, I think it is, where we find the Giptin. Next to the Giptin is always the entrance to the Flayed Dungeon. Nice, the Flayed Dungeon is over there, so we set down a town portal. So we're moving through these areas since quite a while without means, well, we will need to eventually try to get back to here. So here, this is the Giptin Shrine or something like that. Either way, we defeat those little guys, which then drop the Giptin. The Giptin is a special item. The fact that it always spawns a champion group or elite group that gives you increased experience kind of makes it worth it to do that little thing just alone. You basically click on it, seconds later you have a champion group for free with quite a bit of money. With quite a bit to boot. We also do gain access to the quest rewards that we get from turning in the Giptin. Rare ring. What the rare ring has on it, well, we don't know, but it can range from absolutely amazing to... So we kind of hope it's absolutely amazing, or something. Alrighty, here we have a hawk helmet. Hawk, unfortunately, is completely useless without any plus druid skills, but it doesn't matter whether the hawk helmet is white or it is socketed or anything like that. It can always have plus druid skills. Unfortunately, I already used the quest to imbue boots earlier on Charcy, otherwise I would have taken that white hawk helmet to Charcy and well, infuse for the druid here. So we're actually leveling up substantially much quicker because this Flayed Jungle right now has a really high density of enemies. So areas in Diablo 2, I'm not entirely sure how it works, but from what I experienced, either areas have a really high density of enemies, or they have rather low, one of the higher densities. And more importantly, those enemies right now are all 3 types of little guys groups. So they are the ranged little guys, the ones with the blue. It's not always that you get all those 3 groups of enemies, or enemy groups for that matter. In this case, we actually got lucky and did get all 3 of them, which is pretty much the best case scenario. Experience and also quickly getting through this area. The downside is trying to run through these areas without actually killing them is, well, too much. So you do want to be a bit careful about it. I'm playing a bit this case. I'm trying to, well, play it as safe as possible because I really don't want to lose 20 minutes in a marathon run because, well, I happen to die here and suddenly we're way back now. I've done that before.
I mean, we do have the TP at the dungeon, but
yes,
you kind of don't want to use that one.
Well, I mean, even from the TP right now, it would be quite a walk. But it would not be as bad as having to walk all the way from the hometown back here. So we reached 100 vitality, that's nice. We have a decent amount of health. So, okay, this is a champion or enemy group, elite group, that is always here in the front. With some classes it's not worth killing this guy because he just has too much HP. But it's actually kind of worth it. So this is a heavy belt. Heavy belts actually do only give you also of potions at your belt, which unfortunately is not all that worthwhile. Also, it would cost us 45 strength in order to be able to equip it, and even though it has pretty decent, it's just not worth doing that. Okay, we go back to town. If we get into armors, we check the ring real quick, and also the other things that we have. 1 to fire damage, completely pointless. We also get the U1, half the restoration, not useful. And yep, unfortunately the ring Ormus gave us is completely useless, so we sell it back to him for a little bit of money. Okay, we are actually in pretty good shape overall in terms of whatever we have, except for the tier 1 we would like to have more, but whatever, that's alright. Okay, now, you might be wondering, why do I have here? We don't really need those, which, on a baseline, that's not wrong, I don't need them. However, as mentioned before, 3 chip gemstones plus a magical wand will actually reroll the stats on the wand and make it a level 25 wand. It can have plus necromancer skills on it, and well, we are not a necromancer, but if we were a necromancer it could be useful. But for us, it's basically just money. There's a really, really high chance for us to gain it being able to just imbue that real quick. But I only need to do that if... So preferably, well, I don't, so I'm not going to be bothering doing that. Up any more items in terms of getting more money, since we are pretty much set at this point. Overall, money management is a bit of an interesting one. Types of items you do want to pick up for money, like that don't take up much space, but well, maybe they are not guaranteed to give you much money, but there are also various types of items that just kind of a solid amount of gold. Like armor is one of those. It takes up 6 inventory slots, which is quite a bit in order to be able to pick up an armor. It is pretty high investment in terms of inventory space in order to be able to use those. However, but in this case, I found enough wands and staves and stuff like that that had pretty good plus skills, and I went the wrong way here. So Flayer Dungeon is actually interesting. The first 2 levels are usually really, really short, and the last level, well, it's a maze. The maze actually has different sets of layouts. The layouts are always fixed, so that means I pretty much know where to go, well, if I remember the layout. To be honest with you, I don't remember this layout specifically. Oh, I remember now. I need to go through the middle here. The map where there's another chest where we find Kalim's brain, I think. I'm not sure. We'll see. By the way, this guy is fire enchanted and just immune to fire damage. So that means our fire abilities, well, they don't do much. Okay, now we have the second piece of the puzzle. The Kalim puzzle, that is. We would like to have a little bit more health before we move on. And there's that. So, next up I'm going to be Kurast. It's either 50-50, the exit could be the top middle or the straight right side. So I'm just kind of heading to the top middle, hope that I get lucky. Nice. I seem to get pretty lucky as well this entire run. So if someone actually good at the game would be playing this, well, they could have a pretty decent run. Oh, by the way, we did reach level 19, so we would be able to equip the leaf stuff. Holy smokes. I did earlier mention something about boots.
Oh.
those are Zarus. It was wrong with 20 fire resistance. It's 25% fire resistance. On top of that, 20% faster on walk speed. So those are some of the best boots you can gain. Just like that. It's
Actually have a couple of donations mentioning a little bit of drop luck here. We have, I believe it's $25 saying, "Hi Yaga, here's to hoping you get something really useful like a unique staff." Donation to Redder's Choice. He also throws another, "Screw it, here's another $25. Here's to hoping you get a really useful item like a unique scythe." Donation to Yaga's Choice again.
Thank you.
We also have a unique donor name, Don't Kill $15. Say, "Can't let the dark win." So, I mean, you're gonna have to fight long and hard with all of the money in your pockets if you're gonna make sure that the dark dress doesn't win. But we do thank you for all of your donations.
Thank you very much indeed. So, real quick, this is the sewers area. We need to find the sewers level 2. Sometimes that can be pretty lengthy endeavor in order for you to find the sewers level 2. However, there's actually an interesting portion to this. In the sewers level 2, there is a golden chest somewhere. Or, no, actually, level 1. There's know how to get from the golden chest to the sewers exit. It's going to be to the relative right-hand side. Also, that's Kalim's heart. The heart is what I forgot. So the relative right-hand side is what leads you to the exit here. However, sometimes they can have a bit of screwed layouts. So in this case, I know towards the bottom left, the golden chest will be somewhere. And the relative right-hand side, I would have checked all this entire right-hand side first if I found the golden chest first. However, once again, kind of like this level 2 catacombs or also later on level 2 Worldstone Tower, going just kind of a clockwise direction throughout the entire area will usually lead me to find the exit first. However, the sewers area can really troll you by it's in the middle of the sewers, which is kind of rare, but it really messes with your ability to look for it. On here. So, I kind of would like to keep this helmet, and considering that I have not found a tier rune yet, maybe I'm just going to look for a 2-socket shield in order to put Ral rune into a shield, so I will be able to have more fire resistance instead. Although I don't really use the molten gold anymore. Superior Hawkham, hey, that might be 2-socket, and have something useful. Nope, it's Ethereal. Unfortunately, also does not have any plus skills.
What Ethereal does, by the way, it looks kind of fancy because, you know, but the items have durability in this game, and, you know, if you get hit or if you use your weapon, those items will lose their durability and you have to repair them. If they are ethereal, you can't do that. Like, you can't repair those items, so they are kind of, you know, not what you desire. Even if they have amazing stats, yeah, they have very, very limited use then.
Yes. Actually, often in normal runs, you do not need to repair, or, well, they just last long enough to do an entire normal run, which can be really nice. Okay, I apparently have something weird in the cube here, which means I could not pick up the figurine. Oopsie.
Good evening.
28 cold resistance, alright. Okay, real quick, I'm looking for a random wand that doesn't cost too much. Nope, not me. Too bad. Oh. Want some health items. Okay. So, okay, we did find the final piece of the puzzle, Kalim's Well. We merge everything together. I still don't actually need that wand. I'm not sure why I still have it equipped, whatever. We smash the orb. And now we can go inside. We don't need to eradicate the entirety of the council. We just kind of keep running so they don't hit us. Eventually, the door opens to Durance of Fate. Alrighty, Durance of Fate is actually one of the shorter dungeons in this game. Well, at least for final types of dungeons. And interestingly enough, in the Durance of Hate, you go to the relative left-hand side. In this case, that is bottom right, and you find the exit. In the level 2, it's sometimes a bit trickier to find the exit, but in this leaving the entrance area towards the bottom left, and that's kind of the direction of travel that we are going as well. Also, is a bit early. It is kind of inefficient to hit level 20 that early. That means I did kill too many enemies. However, it is better to hit it early rather than too late. So I'm okay with hitting level 20 right now, but it also means I pretty much do not have to kill anything anymore at all. Well, as long as it does. So I'd rather kill them instead of them killing me, because I did not want to harm them. Oh, by the way, those little guys behind me that are just kind of chasing, those are undead Stygian dolls to physical damage whenever you kill them, which on normal is not too bad. Decent amount of damage, but it's not too bad. You still need to be prepared for them potentially dealing damage after you kill them, essentially. However, on higher difficulty, they can really easily just kind of completely kill you, like really quick. Alrighty, we have a this is Mephisto. Mephisto is basically a mage type character. He does not have a whole lot of HP compared to the relatively strong we are. However, he also does not like to walk a lot. He likes to cast. The way we just kind of lure him across those fissures is by going essentially just out of his reach. So he moves over closer to us, and we cast the fissures. I'm basically just tries to chase me a little bit so he can cast the spells. And we are moving on. Mephisto's point. Even though Mephisto has substantially more HP than Duriel, well, for a mage type character and how much damage he deals, he has really little. So let me tell you really quick about the Necromancer. The Necromancer's how he deals with bosses is he summons a little clay golem. Buddy, don't kill me, please. So that's the danger when you get hit there. And puts a curse onto Mephisto that is called Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden then reflects all the physical, more than deals back to the damage dealer, essentially. That's a lot of physical damage dealt back to himself. Mephisto himself? Another unique one. Okay, we just kind of found a Twitch Throw. Twitch Throw is actually useful items for various classes, not for our... We need the faster walk speed, but that thing is pretty good. 23 lightning resistance. That's more lightning resistant than this one, that's all we care about. Okay. We sell this thing. Also, talking to Kane actually gives you the Mephisto Stone Stole anyways, even though I just kind of threw it away. Hindsight was kind of silly. But hey, we are in Act 4 now. Act 4, the enemies are now substantial. And at this point we are kind of under level. It does pretty good damage, to say the least. Also, one thing I want to do before I move on, before I forget about it anyways. Let's go and try to get a 2-socket shield.
Good to see you.
If I don't get it within 3 tries, I'm going to just put on a different helmet and get rid of the molten boulder. Actually, in hindsight, I should do that. Here is I put a Ralrun into a helmet, and that gives us plus 30% fire resistance. Additionally, we now have a total of 55 fire resistance. I would like to have 75% fire resistance, that's the maximum. Why do I walk instead of whatever? I would like to have 75% fire resistance instead, but well, 55 is still pretty decent. It's good enough. Alrighty, the shield still gave us. That's nice. Actually don't want to kill any of those enemies. Those are gargoyle type guys. Hey. Has the 75 fire resistance for a while. Those big green gargoyle guys, and they are actually... So, to give you a brief idea on how experience works, if enemies are 10 or more levels above or below you, they will only give you experience. Those guys here are level 30. I'm level 20, which, well, as you may have noticed, that's pretty much exactly 5% of their total experience, which is basically nothing, at least for our purposes. Let me get some stamina potions before we move on, so we can actually move on a bit quicker. So yeah, those are pretty high level enemies. The are not quite that high level, but at the end they're really enemies. And well, we don't really care, we'd kill them anyways. And that's a... Okay, what else do we have? Maybe some... going to be running through this to final domain.
Was just about to ask, actually.
Nice.
We have a $10 donation from Denicalis. Best of luck to Yagamoth on his run in the discussion for best commentator of their own runs I've ever seen. Great guy. Nice to see the European contingent out in force this year. Extra shout out to Goose for Jesus seeing it up on the caps like a pro. It's kind of an odd verb for me to say, but I think I nailed it. Love to everybody and keep up the great runs, friends. And let's make sure that Ramza gets named to Bowie, yeah? We also have another $5 from Seishura. Demands ice cream cones. Just to cover this up also, we do still have the bid war going on for the light. Go ahead and give this a quick refresh to make sure I get this accurately down. But right now, Light is currently in the lead by $2. Both Light and Dark have been kind of penny, nickel, and over one another the last like 30. So you'll definitely have to keep an eye on that if that's something that you want to see change. Also, a variety of incentives. We still need a little bit more to kind of finish off fighting Riku's final boss with lower HP. We still need a lot of help for the post-run versus mode battle, and we still have quite a bit of help as well for the fighting the final form of Samsara in I Am Setsuna. In addition, for I Am Setsuna, we do have some characters for ending. It's either Luminaire or Lumine. I don't know for sure. But be sure to keep an eye on those as well. We have tons of overarching bid wars. You can always take tracker when you donate. So we do thank you for all. We also do thank those who've been shouting us out on social media, getting the word out. Because maybe some people don't have the money like quite right now. Maybe they're waiting for their paycheck to clear first. But enjoy seeing a lot of people inside of the chat, and we'd love to show off our community and these games, both as RPG runners at large and speed runners at large as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Alrighty, we managed to find the River of Flames here. And the River of Flames, the channel direction travel is always towards the top right. Where exactly it is, I don't know where the exit is. However, I'm going to try to make this a bit safer. I'm going to kill a few more enemies than I would normally kill along the way. Heads up. And moving on. So if you have more donations, feel free to go ahead.
I'll go ahead and give out a shout out to some of the causes that we're actually here for and some of the people that have helped us out. They helped us out quite a bit. Are the people that have been working on our layouts. They do fantastic work. It takes a lot of work to make a really, really nice and kind of universal layout for these types of things. So we're very, very thankful for Aurelin and Namix. They can be found on their Twitter at Aurelin and at Namix _ respectively. For Aurelin, that's OUROLEN. And for Namix, it is NAMUX _. That is their Twitters. So be sure to give them some thanks, guys, because there's a lot of people that we don't, you don't really see behind the scenes. Definitely a huge part of what makes this stream work and makes this viewing experience extremely enjoyable, hopefully for you guys, as well as for us here at the event.
indeed. Thank you very much to all those behind the scenes. The ones keeping the stream alive, the ones kind of cropping the scene, the ones preparing it. Unfortunately, this year I could not arrive in time, but I can guarantee you there was a lot of work involved, both before the marathon and also, well, way before the marathon, with choosing games and all those kinds of things, making sure stuff goes right. And also over here, I would like to point out, ladies and gentlemen, some of you may have seen the schedule earlier for Diablo 2 here, and they would have seen, oh, Nightmare percent. Originally, this game was supposed to be at Nightmare percent. However, unfortunately, I did kind of underestimate how much effort or how much time that would take. So we decided to keep it, well, a bit more reasonable, make sure that we do not in order to make sure. So thank you very much for the cooperation there with the, well, games committee basically. That is a reasonable decision to say the least. Okay. Trying to get through here could be rather difficult because those mages really don't like to move out of my way. Oh boy, that's that's even more enemies over there. I do not have any more health potions. I do have to go and restock on those. So, now we have entered the Chaos Sanctuary. The Chaos Sanctuary is pretty simple how it works. There are 5 seals total, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, 1 straight ahead. And the way you need to complete this is you need to be able to seals, and from 3 of those enemies, wrong photo. From 3 of those champion type enemies spawn, and you need to defeat those, and then Diablo spawns. After you open up the last seal or defeat the last enemy, whichever one's open up the portal to meeting or fighting Diablo. I really tried to get through those cracks, but the enemies don't let me. So this is one of the trickier portions, especially if you don't have a jump or teleport ability. Heck, this have really, so in order to get through here. Also in this page, that the character with the jump ability is the Barbarian, which unfortunately is long to run this kind of setting. However, I dare to say the Barbarian is the most entertaining runs through the hell. Like I earlier mentioned, there are 3 difficulties of this game. The normal any percent run just kind of completes the first difficulty, which is normal mode. The second one does actually complete hell difficulty. So those are basically the 2 categories. Also, categories are naturally divided by between soft and hardcore. Hardcore means your character dies, that's it. In softcore, we can actually take advantage of being able to die without the game being, well, over, and we need to restart. Do that, and you die really careful. I'm just overly cautious, which is also why I have not died yet. I can tell you that if you try to go fast, you just kind of need to take a lot of risks in order to go fast, and that can really quickly end in your demise. And especially also losing a lot of time, and well, you just kind of reset in the end. Either way, for the Barbarian to go all the way through the hardest difficulty, you don't really have particularly good tools in order to do so. Let me be honest. Melee fighting in really underpowered. You can do a lot of damage, but it's all single target for the most part, with a few exceptions. And also, well, single target does not bode well for leveling, since you need to do a lot of leveling in order to get through the entire speedrun. That makes it especially slow already. On top of that, the ability to hit enemies is heavily tied to your level, and you don't want to level up more than absolutely necessary. That broadsword is useless, by the way. Nope, nothing useful. To hit enemies is really limited, which is also why the Barbarian is the slowest of all the classes, even slower than the Necromancer, which is the slowest casting class. You could pretty much say this is bad. Alright, that's okay. That's why we set up safety pump portals. I tried to go a bit too far there, without enough backup essentially. But that's alright. Our druid is we just take a bit more damage than have our equipment. So if you die in this game, you lose your equipment. I currently have nothing equipped on the druid. So that means no resistance, nothing like that. In order for me to regain my equipment, I need to go and grab the body again in order, well, to get that. Also, of course, I don't have a right now, so being able to refill potions on the fly like this is kind of tricky. Okay. By the way, normal health potions regenerate your health over time. The stronger the health potion, the faster they regenerate it. Also, well, the same goes for mana potions. What more rejuvenation potion, which regenerates instantly 30%, 33% of it, is really helpful as well. Also, those enemies deal so much damage. The poor little druid really does not have too much health. Okay, we did manage to recover from this without too much trouble. However, well, and that's it for the run. So, enemies. Something worth noting. Have one boss that is called the Grand Vizier of Chaos, and this is the guy that I have to kill in order to summon Diablo now. He's the last guy that I need to kill in this group. More specifically, he is immune to fire. As you might be imagining, that is kind of an issue. So, in order for us to get past that, what do we have here? Right. In order for us to get past that issue, we will be recruiting a mercenary. So, I just kind of buy a random pike. That was a pretty expensive one, actually, I think. Either way, we just buy a random pike, recover our health and resources, so we can go and fight Diablo right after. Mercenaries in this game are reasonably useful, not too bad. However, for a speedrun, most of the time they are the most useful thing that you can do with a mercenary. I buy a level 19 offensive one, give him the weapon, and he does a ton of damage now. The most useful thing here, the fastest way in fact to deal with this guy. We can touch him if we want to, but it doesn't do much. So our mercenary just kind of really makes quick work of the Grand Vizier of Chaos. There we go, and that's that. Now we summon Diablo, the prime evil.
Imagine this is your first day on the job, and this is what.
Yeah. Mercenaries do deal a substantial amount of damage, and unfortunately they are not too clever about dodging. So goodbye mercenary, thank you for your services, and he's dead. Rip mercenary. So, this is a lizard, and he likes to do and similar types of things, and he also likes to run around. Sometimes anyways. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to lure Diablo across the fire patches by standing just far away that he runs towards me. It's kind of the same type of concept like Mephisto, just a bit more difficult to do because Diablo's movement is not quite as... Try to keep those fissure patches up, and then he keeps running. Another method is to just keep using Firestorm on him now. That's the other reason as to why we used, or we leveled up Firestorm instead of any other ability, as in, instead of Molten Boulder any further. Firestorm allows us to deal reasonably good damage to a stationary target. Diablo here is to an extent, at least if I manage to manage. But he is not all that cracks most of the time anyways. Right now he does, that's nice. Also, you don't want to get hit by that, just in case you couldn't tell. That wave of lightning and 50% lightning, 50% physical damage. So even though I have a decent amount of lightning, portion just still hits like a truck. Also, Diablo 2, or Diablo himself also hits like a truck in the first place. So yeah, you don't want to go into melee combat with him either, which is also why using Fissure on him is a bit of a tricky affair. Alrighty, here we go. maybe to come back real quick on the, well, Hell Barbarian run. If you've never seen one, it's actually the most ridiculous concept you can imagine. Hell Barbarian runs. No, actually, just look it up. Basically, how do you deal with enemies in the late game without being able to hit them with physical weapons? Well, watch and be amazed. Either way, are about to finish off. Then we move on to Act 5. In Act 5, we are just going to run all the way straight through, and well, that's pretty much that. If you have any more donations, that would be a good moment, I feel.
I was actually going to wait until after we had destroyed the Lord of Terror here, but I guess we'll go ahead and hop in.
Now the lizard is simple. You just don't stand still when he does.
So we have Samar with a $9.99 who also wishes Yagamoth a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Just keep in mind, you too, for the low price of $9.99, can say happy birthday to our man. I mean, it's not actually $9.99. You could give like $1.99. We'd be cool with that too. But we also have Fish Arson with $10, most productive thing up, and X Codes with $5. I don't have much, but I dug this out of the couch, cash out of my pedestal boss. So that's a and it's kind of funny. He made the naming incentive Omni / on Ramza. I thought that was cute.
Okay, maybe something worth noting real quick in Act 5. I actually didn't check how much money I have, so I'm just going to straight up kill Shenk. So, the reason Shenk has something to do with money is killing Shenk is basically the siege of Harogoth. They are under siege by the forces of the demons here, and they just, well, they don't like that too much, as you might be able to imagine. And killing the big bad evil guy that is in charge of the siege is the first quest. One of the more obvious, well, benefits of you defeating that guy is that you can get a socket quest from Larzuk, and he will socket one of your items, which is potentially really useful and actually pretty substantially useful in a difficulty run that goes to further difficulties. For me, however, the more important portion is, well, thing to realize. I didn't realize it until later. Currently, the shop prices in Harogoth are, well, twice as expensive. Yeah, like you literally pay twice as much money. If you have enough money in order to be able to afford that, in order to save the time to kill money, well, you could just kill Shenk, and that saves you half the money that you would normally invest into potions. Okay, that's that. I'm going to kill the big bad evil guy, whatever that is. Or try anyways. So yeah, any more donations would be appreciated. I have plenty of things to talk about always, but sometimes maybe I should shut up.
There's always things to talk about as far as Diablo with mechanics, but I do appreciate the prompting because, you know, there's a lot of things to talk about, as you mentioned. We do have Kyle Kirsch with a $2 donation. Diablo 2 was a game that I grew up with, and I met some of my best friends playing it, and I'm still playing today. I'm excited to see it in a marathon, especially by Yagamoth. Shout out to the off-camera crew for keeping the stream alive. Much love from Canada. We do thank you from that, Kyle. We still have the continuing bid war for the dress color for Child of Light. And once again, I'm telling you guys, it's like these guys are just pulling the dollars out of their pockets just to get that little bit ahead to win. So, you know, continue to keep an eye on that and donate. We still need a order to have Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories be able to fight Riku's final or HP. That still needs a tiny little bit more, so that might be something to donate for you guys if that's interesting to you. Still need a lot of help on versus mode battle, post versus mode battle deck with Aussie 889. And we also have a pretty large donation incentive for the fighting the final form of Samsara in I Am Setsuna. Just to let you know, those runs are actually going to be coming up here in the next few hours. We're going to have Child of Light 100%. We're going to have Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and then we're going to have I Am Setsuna. So stick around. You can always check out the schedule. It is inside of the title for the stream. We also have it posted in various places. You can always go ahead and get in contact with us at RPG Limit Break on Twitter as well. If you like. Just let us know that you're out there and you like what we're doing, all right?
Impossible.
We do appreciate it.
So maybe something worth noting, those barricade doors, as you can maybe read, they are... Fun fact, they're actually... not those doors can actually lead. Just kind of weird. Also, worth noting, I basically stick to the top end of this, well, very, very long rectangle stretch in order to not have to open up too many doors in order to travel. In the next areas, we are also going to be entering a pretty icy dungeon. Icy dungeon is pretty much, well, straightforward, crystalline passage. So what the crystalline passage does for us is it kind of sometimes has a bit of a weird initial layout, but this one is pretty obvious. We are initially moving towards the bottom right, which means the relative left-hand side is towards the top right. Side is exactly where we're going in order to try and find the exit. If we're on the side, we would be finding the straight ahead direction, would be leading us to the, well, area where you could do another side quest where you can free Anya. However, for Anya we currently on a normal run do not have any use. Anya's quest would grant you a scroll with 10 which that's quite a bit actually, and we do use that in higher difficulty runs. However, normal runs we just kind of don't care, we just run on. Hey, there's the exit, that was pretty quick. Just a little bit further. Also, as you may have noticed, my mercenary is still alive, even though there are a ton of enemies around, and normally they just die pretty much instantly if you keep running. The reason for that is, well, currently bugged out, I like to call it. What that means is the mercenary, for some reason, I'm not entirely sure how it works. It's something like the game does not update. The enemies can no longer target the mercenary. They just ignore him, which is actually somewhat helpful because mercenary, he can just, well, attack them without getting attacked back and having to worry about dying. Well, as much anyway. Crossfire of abilities. Blue. He is blue, but he's still moving at normal speed. Normally when you're blue, that means you are frozen and chilled and slowed. Not in this case. This is just kind of the game forgetting to update the mercenary properly, and he is still basically being displayed as blue. However, that's also an indication for me that my mercenary is now bugged out. It has something to do with him teleporting to my position in a weird way, something like that, and enemies still target him. I'm not entirely hitting him properly, and that can be really useful. For the druid run, it's just kind of, well, I wanted to see whether I could get it real quick since it was literally just on the way to revive him. And he could be potentially useful against some of the enemies coming up in, well, the next quest that we need to do. We are now in the... And as the name suggests, this is... The Ancients are, well, the entire reason as to why we are even level 20. In a lot of characters, you probably would only complete the game at level, I don't know, 13 or so. Just barely enough in order for you to be able to beat the game. However, you need to level, not just fight the Ancients, but also to the quest that allows us to move on afterwards. So what we're doing here, we activate the altar. And now, we just let them run across the fissures. Essentially, those are originally 3 statues. They turn into enemies. So those enemies are actually pretty interesting and special in that they have random piece of equipment and equipment type or the they just have random equipment right now. So that means if we are unlucky, they could have an insane amount of fire resistance without us being able to tell with. I've been fighting those guys for 5 minutes now, they are still not dead. What is going on? Oh, they have fire resistance. Alrighty. So that can happen. It's not as extreme on the druid, but the assassin is actually have fire resistance. I actually had to reset once because they had so much fire resistance. I was just running around in circles and it did barely a dent in, I think it was Talik's damage there. So yeah, that's that. Also, Talik does seem to have a lot of fire resistance, speaking of which. So he has the shield, so naturally has a higher chance of having more resistances and those kinds of things. So that's less than ideal for us. He also is the guy that if you are in range, he just kind of starts whirlwinding, which does a substantial amount of damage. Not too bad, but it's bad enough to get hit by it. So, alrighty. The mercenary also here. He took a little bit of enemies around the area, and now what is I'm going to stand in the corner here, wait for Talik to literally just jump right on top of me, and then I try to hit him with Firestorm. I don't think I'm actually hitting him. No, I'm not actually hitting him properly. So I'm trying to deal as much damage to this guy as possible. I guess just kind of running in circles is better. So my idea was just kind of tanking him. So if I tank him in a corner, it will actually not allow him to use his whirlwind, which is actually right on top of me. Unfortunately, he dies basically so slowly right now that I might actually have to reset because I don't have enough potions. Oh, poor mercenary, bye-bye. So yeah,
He tried his best.
yeah, if you open up a top. So in this case, I actually did not have enough resources in order to complete the fight, which means I need to fight all of them again. And I was actually good in killing Shank because I did not have that much money, although we still have the backup money in form of the wands. So let's do this again, and hopefully this time Talik does not have as much fire resistance. I probably could have fought it out after just kind of running around in circles for long, but, ladies and gentlemen, you may have noticed I'm using a ton of potions all the time. Just kind of whenever you hear like look, 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 or look, 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 that's when I use a potion, and often it's just kind of mana potions. The natural regeneration in this game is really, 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 really weak. Like, really weak. Also, as you can see, Talik already took way more damage than before. Might have actually been faster. It might actually still be faster to defeat him now than just kind of keep going the way he was before. And look, we take more potions. So yeah, natural mana regeneration is so slow. Even if you have plus mana regeneration things, it is not going to matter until you have a pretty crazy amount of it. And that amount you never reach in a speedrun. Plus, we can just kind of fill up on potions really quickly anyways. Which, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that yet, how I do that. So the way I actually fill up on potions reasonably quickly is by shift right-clicking to fill up my belt. And then I briefly unequip my belt, which the two slots above are basically put into my inventory in terms of potions that are in there or would be stored in there. And then I put the belt back on, shift right-click to buy the potions and fill the belt up, and well, that's quick. Also, I just put the point into the wrong ability there. That was a bit dirty. That's alright. I was supposed to put it into Firestorm in order to have more Firestorm damage. So this could be a pretty lengthy bear fight, unfortunately. But we hope that's not going to be too much of a problem. We'll see about that. Alrighty, here we go. Now we are in the final dungeon here. The Worldstone Keep, level 1. Worldstone Keep level 1, we have no clue where the exit is. It can be pretty much anywhere, so we pick a random direction and run. This is a dead end, it's not here. Level 1 is not particularly dangerous in terms of enemies. They are not too bad. Oh, that was a pretty quick find. So level 2. Level 2, kind of like Catacombs 2, it does have a waypoint. We know how to get to the exit from the waypoint, and we use that knowledge in order to figure out how. If we go clockwise around the area, we will have a higher likelihood of encountering the exit first before we encounter anything else. So that's that. This might just be the thing. Nice. Alright. That was reasonably quick as well. Words don't keep level 3 unfortunately once again. We have no clue where it is. It's just kind of, well, pick a direction and run. And also, these are the Death Lords. I don't like them. So, Death Lords are those big Minoras type cows. And they have 2 weapons. They use an ability that the Barbarian also can use, which is called Double Swing. And what that does is, whenever they swing with their weapons, they essentially increase their movement speed and attack speed and damage. They just overall speed up tremendously whenever they hit with those weapons. Plus, they already have naturally a damage output just physically, so you need to be really wary of those guys, especially if you get cornered. You might be facing some trouble. And even more importantly, especially on characters that have relatively low damage output, like the Necromancer, dealing with a pack of those guys that are just kind of in the way and you have to kill them can be a, well, nightmare. Okay, dead end again. I basically just cast Fissure here in order to either kill those enemies, or they basically also get locked into its hit stun, so they can no longer move forward. So if I kill them or just kind of leave them behind, I'm fine with either, as long as they don't kill me. And normally you would just kind of keep running without casting that much Fissure as I do right now. However, it's just kind of a lot safer, as we might be able to notice. Thankfully, the druid is just insane. So that's pretty awesome. The druid is actually kind of lacking in terms of boss damage, however. Especially on targets that don't move, as you may have seen on Diablo. It was just a pretty lengthy endeavor. For the final boss fight on Baal, this is going to be even worse. Alrighty. And especially because we are still lacking that T rune for a leaf staff, we also don't have the +3 to our or all our fire abilities, which means we are dealing, let's say, substantially less damage compared to a run that tries to go for the record. So this fight will take quite a bit longer. Try the convention of cows, to say the least. Thankfully, just a few fissures and they are history. So, alrighty, this is Baal. We cannot attack him yet. As you may have noticed, I'm not attacking him because there's no point in it. So, what Baal does essentially is he waits until you defeat all the enemies in the immediate area. Also, that Stygian lady is pretty tricky to kill. So, now he laughs. That means he has no more enemies or allies, so to speak, in the immediate vicinity, which also means, well, we will be able to fight the waves now. So, there are 5 waves, representing each act of Baal minions that he summons, and we need to deal with each one of them in order to move on to the next wave. So this guy here, Colenso, is actually... It's probably faster if I just go and get my mercenary back again.
Good evening.
Also, something worth noting is that I definitely actually have to go real quick and restock some money. Something worth noting is also that I just said I need to deal with those enemies. I didn't say I need to kill them, right? So that's kind of what is going to be happening there. So I'm buying some cheap ones that are just matching anything more fancy than that. Go to my stash, put 3 chip chens into my cube, put that thing in there, and boom! Now we have +1 life tap on a Necromancer wand, which that's okay. It's not a terribly great transmute, but this one here is a lot more worth, or worth a lot more money. The idea is now I should have enough money with those 2 staves and weapons to just kind of, well, go through the rest of the game with that amount of money. So that is reasonably quick money. The maximum amount of money I can gain is 25,000 in Act 5, I believe. So yeah, Act 1 is 5,000, Act 2 is a bit more than that. 10,000, sorry. 15,000 for Act 3, and you get the idea. Money in the stash, so I don't lose it when I die, because you will see. Hold on. Most importantly, I actually forgot to summon a mercenary. Let me actually do that real quick. So yes, please.
Speaking of banking away some money, we got a $5 donation from Anonymous. Our dad is donating on our behalf because tonight's a school night. We plan on donating our allowance at the end of the week on Friday. Donation goes to Announcer's Choice. I'm a Shining Force guy, so I'm going to put the $5 towards getting the Sugoi Mizugi inside of Shining Force. But do keep those donations coming. Thank you very, very much for your generosity.
Not enough.
Two is basically just those big guys that revive the little skeletons. This guy, the big guy here, actually has a ridiculous aura that just kind of poisons everything around him, like for a pretty substantial amount. Which is why I had that antidote here, but I guess I didn't get poisoned this time around. So, alrighty, this is late. It includes this guy who exposes to lightning damage. He's always lightning enchanted. Barticle Bloody. Thankfully, he is not particularly resilient against fire. Well. So, now Bale laughs again. Money here on the ground. Because, oh no, they are going to kill me. So, this is playing on softcore. I'm essentially just abusing the fact that I don't need to kill, I need to deal with the enemies and make sure that they are far enough away from the throne initiating the next phase. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So the first step I took there in the corner is that my equipment will still all be over there, and I don't just have to unequip it. That was wave number 4. They are kind of tricky to deal with, actually not too bad for a druid. And more importantly, wave number 5, this is the wave that would just take a really, really, really long time in order for you to kill. To just kind of drag them outside until about here. I'm going to buy some Town Portal scrolls. I now have 2 Tombs of Town Portal because I don't need any identification tombs anymore on the baseline. And that's, well, all I need. Okay, now we are faced. As mentioned before, he does not move a whole lot. So our best bet to deal with him is Firestorm ability. I tried to have all 3 of the little Firestorm lines hit Bale essentially as well. I tried to kind of position myself out of his... just kind of forgot something, whoopsie. What I forgot here is a pretty important fact that Bale deals a ton of cold damage. And the way we deal with cold damage is by just kind of drinking 6 thawing potions, which once again gives us a buff. That is 12 thawing potions, that means we now have 6 of the buff. That buff is plus 50% lightning resistance and cold resistance. And 10% max cold resistance. In this case, the max cold resistance really doesn't matter, but it's kind of handy to have more cold resistance. So this is actually a bit of a problem because I can't go through those guys. So what I normally want to do when Bale summons a clone of himself, I just kind of want to not die, preferably. That's why we set up the portal. That's actually an issue. Alrighty. Unfortunately, dying also reset our buff, so we need to rebuff ourselves with enough cold resistance here. So, what I try to normally do when they don't block the pathway like this, I try to actually just kind of run far away from Bale in order for him to despawn his clone. That's all I'm really aiming for. So let's hope that I can do this without actually dying. If I die here, that would be really not so happy. Oh my god. They are really not friendly right now. This could be a bit of an issue now. I hope I get out of this. So, just initially chugging a few. Immediately as we go in, set up one of new pump portal. Try to run past this guy. Alrighty, we are past now. Okay. So, as mentioned before, I just run really far away, open up a pump portal, go to the city, and that somehow despawns the clone. Don't ask me how exactly that works. How it works, so we take advantage of it. Okay. Not too bad. And hopefully I don't get cornered like this anymore. I think that's the first time I've ever experienced that too, by the way. So. No, don't do that. That's silly, Mal. Okay, as mentioned before, we just kind of try to stay away from him in order for him to hopefully not melee us, because his melee damage is actually pretty insane. On top of that, we try to stand in the way where he will try, where our fire storm ability hits all three of its projectiles that are not really randomly going across the ground, but in a rather difficult to predict way. If I always stand in the same spot and shoot it in the same direction, they always go the same path, but figuring out those paths is ridiculous. So, alrighty, let's try this again. Please do not summon instantly another clone. If we do. There is to the Bale fight for now. We just try to do it something like that. That looks fine. Alrighty, and if you have any more donations, I think this is a fine time to do so now. I assume this will take a little while longer than it usually takes without leave stuff.
Alright, so right now we have a $1 donation from Anonymous. Aurora or bust, the Blue Exel Fan Club president will prevail. I'm assuming that's coming from Seishura. You guys updated. We are still in a fairly intense bid war between the dress color for Child of Light 100%. Now, let me go ahead and hit refresh. It was cut right down the middle at $38. Now it's 41 to 39 in favor of Light. So if Normal wants to make any pretty soon, but you know, it seems to be a very, very close race. Once again, we have a donation of incentives for Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Look at those. We're still very, very close on fighting Rico's final boss with low HP. That's kind of stayed still for a little bit, but it's right there. It's right there, guys. You can see that sweet fight. But yeah, a lot of long stay, a variety of incentives and bid wars just to we will be doing all of these types of fantastic and entertaining speedruns for the rest of the week. So we have lots of games to go through inside of the title for the stream, or you could go ahead and check out the information below. We should have a link to the schedule as well. You can also like to shout out, sharing experiences that you've had regarding Nami or their work that they've done there, or even just say hi and let us know what you think of the stream, and hopefully we can hear some friendly words for the community towards one another. So thank you very much. Let's crush this bale. Let's crush this bale, Yagamoth.
Thank you very much. Maybe to explain a few of Bale's abilities here. This fire ring is essentially, well, just a ring of projectiles. You can, but I think you can only get hit by one of the projectiles. Either way, damage, but not too bad resistance at this point. So, I try to have my back towards a wall, so it does not push me back too far, and it also doesn't deal too much damage. That's my position right now. Then he also has that weird white, and that actually removes my mana. I use sometimes with closer in order to just punch me. That's kind of rude. To be fair, we are setting him on fire, that's kind of rude too. Alrighty. When you have the leaf stuff, you pretty fair bit more damage on your Firestone ability here. However, it actually, interestingly enough, doesn't make that much of a difference overall. It is just a bit of difference. Enough for it to be absolutely necessary if you try to do a record attempt or any of the more fast ones, essentially. So, also especially if you go into higher difficulties with the druid afterwards, later on you respect to win, so you don't need the leaf stuff. Until then, it is definitely a lot faster to be able to have a leaf staff in order for you to, well, be able to kill enemies quicker. That's pretty much all it does. To be fair, that's a lot. One downside of a leaf staff is you don't have a shield. In this case, we have a weird shield that gives plus 20 health, which doesn't do a whole lot much anymore either.
My brothers.
And he summoned. Sometimes Bale just kind of goes wild after summoning a clone. Takes many actions. But time is about to come up as soon as Bale dies here. And there we go. Rest in pieces.
Join your brothers in oblivion.
Your brothers in oblivion. At least for now, until we do that again. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that was Diablo 2 any percent with a druid. All the characters are very different and varied, so, well, why don't you just take a look? And also, doing a higher difficulty of a tremendous effort, and the burden of knowledge is kind of insane. However, the decision making you have to do throughout these kinds of runs is actually a lot of fun overall. So, well, might just be your thing. Might as well very, very random how quick the individual run. So yeah, that's that. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to be so be sure to go ahead and stick around.